School is the best place for a child. Why this view is wrong, and especially when dealing with school avoidance. And we're going to talk a lot about a lot of our kids, the SEND kids, the kids that are finding it difficult. I'm hoping that this will be a really good session for you if you're a parent, if you are a teacher. The things I'm going to talk about today, just have an open mind. These are just my views and what I think, and I've taken some documents that I think for parents you're definitely going to find useful, and schools. What I'm hoping is, that you'll just kind of be inspired by this session to go, wow, there are other options we can have. And yeah, there's no clear, easy answer to any of this. There's no clear, easy solutions, and you're all going to have different stories and different experiences. So I've done my best to cover as much as I can. So let's get straight into it. Okay. School is the best place for a child. Right. When we're talking about school attendance and all the issues, there's a thing called SAPS, which just stands for School Attendance Problems. And this journal article was written back in 2019. I thought it's a good place to start because these researchers looked at all the problems that they have noticed are quite common for kids that struggle with attending school, okay? And what they basically found is, what they basically said is, look, if a child is absent from school, there's potential for affecting learning and achievement, declining in achievement. There's a risk of drug use. There's early school dropouts. There's unemployment. And then it goes on to say, a lot of kids that don't engage in school will become juvenile offenders. They're invoking the school to prison pipeline, as they call it. Non-attendance seriously disrupts a youth's social, emotional development and creates loads of mental health disorders. Okay. It's quite depressing, really, isn't it? Our kids are all doomed. Well, let's get into that. Now, if they don't go to school, right, what these findings, and a lot of the kind of message we hear as I'm a SEND parent as well as a professional, which I will share about for those of you who don't know me. But basically, what the message is, oh my God, if your child doesn't go to school, they're going to become stupid. They're not going to achieve anything. They're going to turn into juvenile offenders. They're going to probably end up in prison, become a recluse, and then most likely start taking drugs. And parents, schools, local authorities, the message is you all need to sort it out, right? Now, how can we save our children? Don't ask me where I got these silly JPEGs from. I just thought those were hilarious. Here's an idea. How are we going to save our children? Well, let's develop what's called a traditional school model, okay? It'll be awesome. Now, I'm not saying who these people are, but, you can work it out yourselves. Well, what is, now, before we delve into the question of is school right for every kid, right? We're going to look at the traditional school model. I'm just going to float across it because I think it's within this that a lot of issues can occur. So let's get into it. Right. So what is a traditional model? Well, there's an infrastructure to it, isn't there? The idea is, we're going to set something up, we're going to build structure that focuses heavily on rigid timetables, transitions, and schedules. So, school bells, you get told when to arrive at school, you get told how long a lesson you're going to face, you have to ask to go to the toilet, you're told when you're going to eat, you're told when the lesson's finished, you're given break times when you're it's very, very structured. There's a big push for conformity in schools. All children must learn compliance and they must obey what is said to them. They must follow the rules. So, for example, really good example, a kid who is cold and they're in class. Let's say an autistic child is in class, come in and they're cold and they've got their blazer on, they've got everything on and they're sitting there and the teacher says, take your coat off. and they say, no, I'm cold. And there becomes this to and fro, and this argument occurs, and then the teacher just calls the child defiant, and you need to follow the rules, you need to be compliant, gets sent out, and then gets sent to isolation, or whatever your school calls it, and then they refuse to do that, and then they get excluded. And the whole issue is that the child won't comply and conform because they're cold. Is that a behavior issue, or is that a power trip, in the sense of, should that teacher just go, well, you just leave your coat on, then it's fine. And then someone comes in, why has that student got their coat on? Well, they're cold, the heating don't work. I'm not saying all schools are like this, but that's just a general example of what that is. Assessment focus, well, I don't need to talk about that, but that's definitely a big thing around within this traditional school model. There's a big push for adult-led learning, and that is exactly what it is. A teacher or a tutor will instruct. The teacher is the expert. The tutor is the expert. Their primary role is to plan, is to deliver, and to then guide the learning process. So it's very led by the adults. So in a way, the child doesn't really have a say. Classroom learning, well, education's typically in the traditional school model, delivered in classrooms of anywhere from 20 to 30, and up in some schools more. Teaching methods are often involve direct instruction, note taking, group tasks, written assessments, all that kind of stuff. Behavior management, that's a big key in traditional models. School emphasizes the rules, codes of conduct. They must maintain discipline, often will be enforced with what's called rewards and sanctions, or reward and punishment. Large scale infrastructure. This traditional school model is pretty much, schools are designed for larger student populations with teacher student ratio often around 1 to 25th or higher. 1 in 25, sorry. Systemic accountability. This is a big one. Schools are regularly inspected by Ofsted. It's Easton in Wales, if I pronounce that wrong. Education Scotland, or ETI in Northern Ireland. Performance metrics such as attendance, exam results, inspections, reports drive accountability. And then we've got the fixed curriculum, this national curriculum, which forms most of England, Wales, Scotland. We all know all this stuff, right? But I thought, let's lay it out. Let's lay out this traditional model, because it does serve many students effectively. Let's just put it out there, and it benefits mostly the mainstream approach. And there are some good schools out there, and I'm not knocking schools in this session. What I'm saying is I'm trying to think differently about everything, right? Because here's what we see, right? That the model, this traditional school model, increasingly faces scrutiny for its inability to adapt to diverse learning needs, especially for autistic, neurodivergent, or SAPs, school attendance problems, right? So in a nutshell, the traditional school model is not working for many SEND kids. And I'm not it didn't take me long. I mean, I'm aware of this. This is, I will share about who we are. For those of you who don't know us, I run a company called Accepting Behaviour with loads of awesome teachers and tutors. But if I was just to land on this Great Britain land of ours and say, well, what's the state of SEND? I mean, wow, it's an absolute mess. And this is just one independent study. This was July 24, so it's pretty up to date. Local Government Association, this is what they basically found. Educational attainment has not improved since the introduction of the landmark reforms, if any of you remember, back in 2014, despite councils projected to be spending 12 billion on these services by 2026, up from 4 billion a decade ago. It's not making any difference. Higher rates of identification of SEND are not leading to better education attainment. In fact, it's kind of making it a lot more problematic, I would say. Education outcomes and employment opportunities have not improved with children SEND. We see this a lot. There was a stat going around where basically only 16% of autistic individuals that we're aware of are in any kind of employment. So that's 84% Nothing. They've gone through that traditional school model and it hasn't worked for them. And that's just autistic kids, ADHD kids, kids with, mental health issues. There's just an overflow of kids that are struggling. Even just looking at, I don't know if Caroline is still the chief executive, but she just, say it as it is, Caroline. The education system isn't working for autistic children and their families. We would agree in our little team as well. And I thought that's quite a really good quote. But it's true. It's true. And she said that back in 2021. National Autistic Society, have got loads of things that they are trying to do to help, and there's lots of us trying to do and help the situation. Where we live in the West Midlands, there's the ITV. We have ITV News, and that they just did one investigation last year, and they found that it's a broken SEND system. Now, even, you might love him or hate him. I don't really have an opinion, but, Sir Keir Starmer has said SEND is a system that is neglected to the point of complete crisis. So, look, I think the reason I wanted to kind of lay this picture out is not to just to reiterate. A lot of you would already know this. You're like, yeah, of course. That's why we're on here, because we want to know if there's anything you can suggest, or just, I'm just one person with some ideas. But I think it's really important for parents and teachers and educators and head teachers or whoever, local authority officers, something bigger is going on than just, we need to just tell parents to get their kids to school, and school is the best place for them. Let's bring them in, let's get them in, and they'll be fine. Well, no, that's kind of not what the research is saying, is it? So let's here's what, this is brilliant. Not brilliant, it's quite depressing, but what in our field of work, we work with a lot of kids that have education healthcare plans, and a lot of parents sadly have to end up in tribunal, and the Ministry of Justice, this is showing, I find that there's no I'm not going to be blaming and moaning at people, but 98% of parents who end up in tribunal have to wait years and fight and go for all the stress. I mean, I know so many stories. I'm sure you all do too. When they challenge local authority decisions about the lack of proper support for their children, they go on to win it. They win the appeal. 98%. What's that saying? That's basically saying that these judges are saying that the local authorities kind of are wrong. So you need to help these children. I thought that's quite, and I know that's been going around for quite a while, this statistic, but wow. And I am building up to something, so just bear with me. So I could end it here. School is not the best place for thin children who, right, this is important, because I started in special needs schools as a teacher, and you know what, some of the places that I worked, some of those kids loved it. Some kids needed to be in school just to have a break from being at home. There are different stories for kids all across the board, isn't there? And some schools, a lot of schools are really trying to do what's right for these kids and are just struggling. But it's not the best place for kids who are too anxious or depressed to attend school, who cannot cope in a classroom setting, and who can't engage in SEND support. Because here's the thing, SEND support's there, isn't it? And I think what a lot of professionals, myself included, are trying to challenge now is not that those SEND support strategies, or the dreaded word interventions, or whatever they're called, it's not that they don't work, it's just that they don't work for a lot of kids, and actually no one's really suggesting much else. They'll say, try this. I mean, I'm working with a school at the moment, and the education psychologist and the local authority officer of this particular person I'm supporting have said, we don't know what else to do. And then it's just gone quiet. And it's like, as a parent of kids who are autistic myself, it's like, wow, what do you do when that gets written in a report? Oh, we don't know what to do. Oh, okay, thanks. It's like, it's crazy. It really is. So these are the kids, right? In my honest opinion, that just need us to just step back a bit and go, okay, it isn't about getting them in the building. I mean, Heidi Maver, if I pronounce the name wrong, Your Child Is Not Broken. I love the story where she talks about the gate. Just come and touch the magic school gate and that'll really fix everything. And I've seen it in my jobs, kids just being told, just come into reception and everything will be fine. But it isn't fine. And parents have to get their kids up, put them through stress, try and entice them to go in just for 2-3 minutes. And schools feel that that's a good thing. And it's not, because you're not dealing with the reason why a child doesn't want to go to school. So hopefully this next part of this will help that. Right. Because what can we do to help? Well, first, obviously, who the hell are you? Right. Some of you know me, some of you don't. So I just thought that, I'll just share who I am. So basically 20 years as a qualified teacher. I mainly taught in specialist schools and mainstream schools. I taught in them, but I preferred to stay away because, wow, mainstream teachers, hats off to you. And local authority autism advisor, that was something I stepped out of my teaching because I kind of just felt like something needed to change. And so I was a local authority autism advisor. And that was great for me as a job. Because it showed me that there are still massive barriers. I always had this passion of being this autism advisor and wanting to work, helping kids like my son at the time, because he didn't get any support and I just wanted to help. And I loved it, but I found that there's more barriers and more walls, and I was like, wow, this is intense. But I was fortunate enough to kind of work in schools, support post-16 settings and just be an advisor, write EHCPs, provision plans, TAC meetings, all that kind of stuff, all the statutory stuff. I'm also an autistic adult, and I was kicked out of school at 14, diagnosed as an adult, lots of mental health issues as a teenager. So I was one of those school. In fact, if I'm honest, my school actually preferred it when I wasn't there. But anyway, and then parent of 2 awesome kids. Cameron's... Birdie is in his 20s and Lily is 13. So I've got a big gap. And then I'm the founder of Accepting Behaviour, something that I set up a few years ago now on my own, and then my wife stepped in, and now we've got loads of amazing staff who pretty much have gone, I've had enough of this education system, and we're trying to do the best we can in our team, and we support kids with EOTAS or EOTIS or whatever you want to call it, which is education other than at or in school. And then I'm also an autism consultant in schools now and education settings, and interestingly, we're getting a lot more inquiries and support needed for us there, which is great because we apply what's called acceptance-based support, which I will share with you in a second at the end of this. And then I'm also a researcher and speaker in autism and all that kind of stuff. And I created the Accept approach, which I'm not going to talk about today because there's so much I want to get into, but I will give you links to that. And it's just another approach you can try. It might work, it might not. Who knows? You don't know till you try, do you? So, schools. I'll start with schools first. So here's some tips on what we could possibly do. Well, for me, everything, I have to keep it simple. It's probably the way my brain is, but there's a really effective, I would say, document called Working Together to Improve School Attendance. So for any teachers, dinner ladies, TAs, whoever you are, if you're on here, students, get this document. It's free. Just download it, have a read. It's quite long. But there's some updates. Updates were made in August, and I have a video on our YouTube channel about school avoidance that talks about this, but the older version. And then basically, there's some updates, and the updates are, and this is taken directly from it, so I've put the page numbers in and stuff. Pupils who are prevented from attending school due to physical or mental health. Can you see how they're saying pupils are prevented? So it's not parents who are being awkward or lazy. It's actually prevented, pupils who are prevented as a result of physical or mental health. So they're starting to identify that this is real. And to be clear, where the school role starts and ends, which I think is really interesting. Provide further clarification around medical evidence, additional support for pupils with special educational needs, disabilities and part-time timetables. Okay, so this is good. Now, Is it going to have all the answers? No. Is it going to give you loads of money? No. But what I'm hoping this will do, this document, like it has with us in our team, it's inspired us to think differently, which is really, when I was a teacher, the way things changed was by me making some changes in myself, if that makes sense. Yes, forgive me if you can't see them. Someone's just put, I'm going to put this video on YouTube so you'll be able to put it on a wider, bigger screen. Some of the text can be quite small, but bear with me. Right, so here's just some examples of what this document is suggesting schools should be doing to support kids who are not able to attend school. Work in partnership with pupils and parents. Build strong, trusting relationships. So it doesn't say if a kid's off for a couple of weeks, send them a letter and threaten them with court, does it? It just says, build a strong, trusting relationship. And then it says, refer to organisations that can provide support, like us in accepting behaviour, or other teams, whether it's local authority or not. It's saying that schools can do that. And schools don't have loads of money, but they do have funding to do this kind of thing, I would argue, or suggest. Now, it's a big document, so I thought I'll just pick out the things that I think are really important. So to secure good attendance, securing good attendance, I'll just read it. Securing good attendance cannot be seen in isolation, and effective practices for improvement will improve close interaction with schools' efforts on curriculum, behaviour, bullying, special educational needs, pastoral and mental health, well-being, effective use of resources, including pupil premium. So what that's basically saying is, for us as schools to secure, you've got to look at all these things. You can't just say the parents need to get in or the kid will be. I mean, I hear this a lot. Oh, school is the best place for them. And sometimes, I've heard like autism professionals say it. And I'm like, well, what if it isn't? And yeah, so it's there. It's still a message out there. And it is good for some kids, but not the ones that are screaming in the morning at 6 a.m. I can't go to school, having night sweats and stuff. Those kids need us to support them. So build strong relationships and work jointly with families, listening to them and understanding barriers to attendance, working in partnership with family. Now, what does that look like, working in partnership? If for my Lily, I remember she was 5. We got to the edge of the drive. She might have been younger than 5. She burst into tears. We'd been up since 6 getting her dressed. She couldn't find the right shoes. She was screaming. I mean, this was just a daily occurrence for us. She'd been on the toilet for about 3 hours. Me and Mum are exhausted, and I remember she couldn't get off the drive with her feet stopped at the line, and she burst into tears, and she said, "Dad, I can't move my feet." I was like, "What's up?" She went, "I know if I go on that road, it's the way to school." Now, my background's psychology, and I knew instantly that it was more than just a child who can't be bothered to go to school. I knew also that is definitely not 2 parents who can't be bothered. Now, there are parents who can't be bothered, and there are parents who actually are not very good parents, and they do need a kick up the backside. But we're not talking about that when we're talking about kids like my Lily, and I'm sure your kids. There's something else going on. And I remember saying to the school and you try, don't you, to express it. And the teacher was a nice person, and they just said, "Oh, I've got this great idea." I was like, "Brilliant, what is it?" "It's a worry book, or a book, and whenever Lily gets in, we're going to give her a sticker, a smiley face sticker." And I'm just like thinking, okay, it's a great idea, it's good intention, but that ain't getting my girl off the drive, mate. We need to do more than that. Anyway, so yeah, that was a battle of a time for us. Some pupils, so this DFE guidance is identifying this. They have more complex barriers to attendance. And this includes kids with SEND. And the right to their education is the same for any other pupil. Now, obviously, I'm reading this and I'm not showing it, am I? I've just noticed that. So, basically what this bit's saying on page 23 is, well, look, all these kids have a right to the same education. And yes, they do now. Are there enough settings? No. Are there enough people? No. But I tell you, we have a massive caseload now, and it's getting more and more and more. But the amount of time, sometimes we're waiting for funding to be okayed, or communication from someone, you know, just to help the families that we're trying to work with, is just crazy. It's not rare for us in our team to hear the story. Oh yeah, he's been on his own for 2 years at home. Oh yeah, we've been waiting over a year for the HCP decision. And it's like, what? It's crazy, especially when the government is giving this guidance. And I'm sure that it's not as easy as that, but it's kind of like, well, should it be? It should be, shouldn't it? We should be able to say, oh, okay, this kid can't go into school. Is there anything else we can do to help them? Interesting, you know, the school my Lily was at the time, no one came to see her. Yeah, interesting. Right, so, and look at this, love it. Be particularly mindful, schools, of pupils' absence from school due to mental health, physical health of their SEN or disabilities, and provide them with additional support. Don't sanction them. Don't tell them off. Don't threaten them with you know, this new this and that new this, and don't do it. First thing you got to do is this stuff. And where absence intensifies, then you can send them a threatening letter. No, actually it says work with other people, partners, local authorities, before any of that sanction stuff happens. And it is in this document. It does say, yeah, there are times where fines and things happen, but right at the end, right, way down at the end, when nothing else has happened. And I thought this was interesting. How many times have I gone into a school and heard, oh, he's not autistic. No, he's not. We got one of them in the class next door. He's autistic. Or no, she's not anxious. No, once she's in, she's fine. Hear it all the time, and I hear it from. I've heard it myself firsthand as an autism advisor in schools, and I've also heard it from parents. Like they'll be like, I can't believe it. This teacher has just said my child's not autistic, and you know, it's crazy what's out there. But look at what this guidance says. It says, well, school staff are not expected to diagnose or treat physical or mental health conditions, but they are expected to work together with the families and other agencies with the aim of ensuring regular attendance for every pupil. So we're supposed to work with the families. Okay, brilliant. Let's do that. Sorry. Trying to be positive here. Right, so here we go. So simple terms then. Schools, educators, think differently. Here's 3 really cool things you can do. Stop blaming parents. Stop sanctioning the children. And stop thinking we know what's best. That's it. Done. End. Goodbye. No, right. Now, schools need to be sensitive. I mean, honestly, these are just me just chipping bits out of this document, and it is really, really good. Talks about making reasonable adjustments. Adjustments to practices and policies are important. Here's the thing. Why can't we change school policies? We can. Of course we can. What are school policies? They're just the management team getting together and writing a policy. You can change them whenever you want. What we have to do with our policies in our team is date when we're doing it. Say, oh yeah, we've made this change. Make some changes. You've got a kid who can't take their coat off. Make it policy that a child who's autistic, who's cold, can leave their coat on. Oh, miss, he's got his coat on. What? Well, that's what this child needs today. We don't moan at kids in wheelchairs and go, oh, miss, he's got a wheelchair. I haven't. I'm sorry, my Brummie accent was coming out then. But it's the same kind of thing. Make those formal, reasonable adjustments. It's a part of the act. We all know this now. We've got to keep doing it. We've got to stop all this. Yeah, anyway. So I love all this. And guys, as parents, I will talk to your parents, and teachers, if you're feeling like you're not being listened to and you want to help your SEN kids, take this document into the senior lead and find someone who understands and who will talk to you. And if not, go to the governors and go, guys, what are we doing? You might ruffle some feathers. I always But anyway, that's why I work for myself. Can't work for anyone else. But hey, there we go. Right. So, believe the parents. I mean, yeah, believe the parents. I mean, when, we've all had safeguarding and we all get it every year and we all have to do refreshers. I know as a professional when I can see a child's in risk or in need. I know that, and I will do the necessary steps, to protect that child. But very rarely in autism do you see it. What we see is actually parents not feeling that they're not being listened to and believed. Before I did set this up tonight, I was on a live with the school, and the parent was I could just see she was struggling to talk, and it's really sad. And I just think, you know what, we just got to believe them. Just believe them. See where it gets you. What we experience as parents is so real. That day when Lily couldn't get off the drive, and that was just one. I remember when she hid behind the bike shed in school, and she used to tell me that she'd get in school for the odd 20 minutes and she'd go into the toilet and sing to herself because she said that's the only place she could feel safe. And it's like, and we'd say it, and it's real. This experience is real for us, and the stress it puts on us as parents, oh man, it's phenomenal. We're not making it up. We really aren't. I mean, oh man, I really, if you could come and live with us for a week, you'd see we're not making it up. Right, so I'm going off on one now. The education system isn't working, right? Admit the real issue. Be honest with yourselves as educators. If there are any head teachers on here or any management, guys, be honest with yourselves. Be honest with what is out there. We need to be a part of a change, not the problem. We need to stop this, or else we are going to let down another generation of kids. And it's like, I just don't want to do it. And I'm not saying this is all right. I'm just saying this is what we think is right, if that makes sense. I'm sure you guys have different ideas, and I'm hoping this little live that I'm doing will spark your inspiration and because that's what it's about, isn't it? It's not about, I don't like to just moan, because we could moan now about everything, couldn't we? But that doesn't help. It gives me a headache. Gives me a massive pounding headache. Authorizing absences, right? This is so interesting. Did you know that the head teacher is the one that makes the decision? The one that has that key grant to go, yep. And here's the thing, right? And I'm saying that because, I'll hear sometimes in schools. I spoke to a Senko last week, actually. She didn't know. She thought it came from local authorities. And I could be wrong, but in my research, the head teacher is the one that's given the authority. So actually, head teachers, you can authorize absences of kids that have got mental health issues and massive, oh, yeah. Do you know what? Let's talk about this. I hope that... someone's just put something on it. I've got to put this on because I heard about this the other day. Has anyone heard of a reset day? What the hell is that? Well, I'll tell you what it is, because we had one of our other kids. So the child goes to school, has an issue, gets stressed, gets sent home now, not excluded, but given a reset day. So they go home and have to reset themselves. I mean... oh, man, can we just stop, please? Can we just stop? Because what's that about? I don't know. Is that just me? Do you think that's a bit of a silly idea? You're going to go home and reset yourself then and then come back fixed. Oh, man. I don't know. Sorry if anyone's come up with that. And, please come and explain it to me, because I don't understand that. What? Anyway, right. So, so... the head teacher, so the reason I'm saying, not to be negative or anything, but it's like we can talk to these people and say, come on, my child can't help this. Please help me. I don't know. Right. So for schools, we do training. We offer training. We do virtual. I try and go as far as I can around the country. I tend to not like traveling. I I get really anxious and stressed, and you don't want me anxious and stressed in your school going, oh, I want to go home. Because I'm an autistic adult and I don't need to change. I just am who I am. I am who I am. That sounded really brummy. But, you know, we have training that we offer, and very, very effective training. Schools feedback that it's really good. It's really helpful. So we do 90 minutes, half day training and full day training. So we can come and help you if you want us to. What's the next one? Right, parents. Okay, are you ready for this? Because I think parents, it's about time now you listen hard. Now, I'm not really going to give parents any tips. I'm not. So, and I'll tell you why. Because you don't need to. Right. Acceptance-based support. It's a new area that it's not new. There are so many people around and in psychology, and, you know, we've got Bo Alvin and Ros Green and the low arousal approach and the low demand approach, all that kind of great stuff. There's child-centeredness, there's humanistic psychology, there's loads. What I've done in my research is bring it together in an acceptance-based support and created a model for parents and for educators called the Accept approach. And since I've now doing this full time with a team, we're finding this is just creating massive waves of brilliance. Are there days we struggle? Yes. Today, I went to meet a child and their parent. She's not in school. She's really struggling. And I drove to the park with my dog, Billy, and I was throwing frisbees, and all I could hear was the child screaming in the car because I was there. The demand to meet me was too much. And some days I think, oh my God, you know, how is this acceptance thing going to help here? And it does help. And I said to Mum, don't worry. And Mum texted me the moment, you know, as soon as she left, she's calmer. And now we're going to try maybe a female teacher instead. And, you know, so the good thing about acceptance is you're not trying to change anything. It's like we're just going with the child. Okay, that child's struggling today in the car. She can't speak to me. It's all right. It's not her fault. Which leads me on to some more little kind of things. So this is the 4 foundations. The Accept approach you can get on our website, acceptingbehavior.com. There's loads of free resources, free research, consultations. There's a small charge for consultations if you want help with that. We can offer the training, and we've got EOTask guidance. The 4 foundations of the Accept approach, I talk about it loads in my videos on our YouTube channel. There's an introduction to the Accept approach. Just watch that. But these are the paramount key things that we follow with all our kids that we work with. Remove what is causing the anxiety. Remind them that it's not their fault. Reassure them that it's gonna be okay. And reaffirm that you're with them 100% of the way, warts and all. They're swearing at you. They're getting kicked out of school. The teachers are shouting at your kid. You stand by your kid no matter what they're doing, saying. That's what that is. So I thought I'd do this so you can screenshot it and give it a go, man. Give it a go. But watch the videos first, because if you haven't watched them, it will hopefully make sense. The feedback we get now all across the UK, we've gone nationwide with our consultation stuff. And yes, it's stressful. Yes, there are situations and I think, oh man, you know, but people are telling me that these 4 things are really helping. So it's good. It's good feedback. It's good feedback. So yeah, check our website out. This is the tips, really. The reason I'm not giving any tips for parents, because you know what? Do what you feel is best for your child. Yep, that's it. It's okay not to have all the answers as well. I mean, I don't have many answers. This morning, Lily was wanted. Here's a reality of, you know. So Lily will sleep for 2 days, and then she'll get up and go to school, and then she won't sleep for 2 days, and then she'll be wired, and then she'll crash, and then she won't crash. And then today she asked Mom to get her up because there was someone that she wanted to see at school. She only goes like a few hours a week, bless her, because she can't do it anymore. So I go in and, Lily, come on, you want to get up? And the words that came out of my lovely daughter's mouth were very, very, could be, if I looked at her as a problem, hurtful. But they're not hurtful. because she's just saying, you're too much for me. That demand is too much. Get out of my room. And I love her, and she's amazing. And you know what? With acceptance-based support, you see it as, I love what the Panda Views talks on in the PDA Society thing about how treat it like a panic attack. It's like 100%, yeah. It's not their fault. It's not her fault. Now, I came downstairs going, oh, man, because I know if she could function and go to school today, she would have loved it, but I also know that she couldn't. So what we have to do is we drive her around for hours and hours every night. And, well, Jane does most of it. And, yeah, don't have all the answers. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. But anyway, I'm probably talking too much now. And then what else have we got? Oh, it's not their fault. I say it all the time. I jokingly say that I need to get a T-shirt on there because I sometimes think it is my fault. But anyway, it's because I was diagnosed as an adult. But it isn't their fault. It's not their fault. That's it. It is not their fault. Yeah, there you go. And this is us accepting behavior. Yeah, I'm going to share this on YouTube, this video. So